All right, let's begin. Today, we're going to delve into the high-stakes world of financial security. We'll be looking at a massive technological shift in how we catch criminals, a fundamental change, really. We're moving from what was once a game of chance to what is now a game of certainty, and it's all thanks to artificial intelligence. So, let's start with the core problem. I want you to picture this. You're a major financial institution. Every single day, millions, sometimes even billions of transactions are flowing through your systems. And somewhere in that massive, overwhelming ocean of data, there's a thief. How on earth do you find them? This isn't just a needle in a haystack. This is like trying to find one specific needle in a continent-sized stack of other needles. That's the scale of the challenge we're talking about.
For decades, the answer to that challenge was, to be perfectly honest, a bit of a guess. Let's take a look at the old way of doing things, which was all based on a method called sampling.
So what exactly is sampling? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Instead of even trying to look at that entire ocean of data, investigators would just, scoop up a small bucket of it, a tiny, tiny fraction of all the transactions, and they check that small batch for anything suspicious. The hope was simply that you'd get lucky and find the fraud in your sample.
But here's the unavoidable truth. The fundamental flaw in that design, it inherently limits your ability to find anything. Think about it logically. If you're only looking at, say, 1% of the data, you are mathematically blind to the other 99%. It created these massive blind spots where fraudsters could operate, sometimes for years.
And here's the other kicker. Even if you did get lucky and find something, the whole process was just incredibly slow. The time from when a fraudulent transaction actually happened to when an auditor might potentially flag it could be weeks. By then, the money is long gone, the damage is already done. It was a reactive system, always playing catch-up. But that entire paradigm has been completely shattered. We now have a new standard, a totally different approach that's powered by artificial intelligence. And when you put the two side by side, the difference is it's stark. This is not a small improvement, it's a complete revolution. Where the traditional audit relied on sampling, AI analyzes 100% of the data. Where the old response time was measured in weeks, AI responds in milliseconds. The old way was limited by its very nature. AI is the new standard. So let's break that down, because these points are absolutely critical. The first fundamental change is the scope. AI doesn't take a sample. It doesn't just scoop a bucket from the ocean. It looks at everything.
100%, every single transaction, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, it gets analyzed. This means there are no more blind spots. There is simply nowhere left for fraudsters to hide. It's the difference between hoping you'll see a fire and having a smoke detector in every single room of the house.
Okay, so that's the first revolution. The second one, which is just as dramatic, is speed. We're not talking about going from weeks to days or even from days to hours. The leap is almost hard to comprehend. Milliseconds. Literally, before you can even blink your eye, the AI has already analyzed a transaction and flagged it if it's suspicious. This completely changes the game from damage control to actual real-time prevention. It's the difference between reading about a robbery in last week's newspaper and stopping the thief as they try to walk out the door. So how does it actually do this? It's not magic. It's really a combination of a few powerful techniques that turn AI into an incredibly effective digital detective. So let's unpack how it works. The first key concept is something called anomaly detection. What the AI does is it spends its time studying billions of normal, legitimate transactions. It learns the rhythm of your personal spending, where you shop, when you shop, the kind of things you buy, how much you usually spend. It builds this incredibly complex, dynamic profile of what normal looks like for you. So, if a transaction suddenly pops up from another country at 3 in the morning for a weird amount, the AI instantly flags it. It's a deviation, an anomaly. It knows what's normal, so it can spot what isn't, instantly. But then, AI takes it to a whole other level with pattern recognition. It can see connections that are completely invisible to a human analyst staring at a spreadsheet. For example, the AI might notice dozens of seemingly unrelated accounts, all opened in different cities, that suddenly make tiny, insignificant transactions, all timed within seconds of each other, and all funneling money back to a single, hidden digital wallet. It connects all those dots, the location, the timing, the frequency, the destination, to reveal a sophisticated fraud network that would otherwise go totally undetected. So we have a system that can see everything and acts instantly. What does that actually mean for us in the real world? What's the bottom line? Well, you can think of it as a clear chain of benefits. It all starts with that real-time detection, spotting the fraud the very moment it happens. That immediately leads to step 2. Financial losses are halted, stopped in their tracks before they can escalate. And the ultimate result of that protection, institutional trust is strengthened. We as customers feel safer, and the entire financial system becomes more secure and resilient. What this all adds up to is a really simple but profound takeaway. AI isn't just a new tool in the toolbox. It has completely redefined the rules of the game. It has established an entirely new standard for what financial control and security even look like. The expectation is no longer to catch some of the fraud some of the time. The standard is now to catch all of it instantly. And that leaves us with a final thought, a question to really consider. This shift isn't just about fraud detection. It points to a much, much bigger trend. In a world where analysis and action can happen in milliseconds, speed itself becomes a new kind of currency. And that poses a critical question for every single industry. In this new reality, who can possibly afford to be slow?